Hello and welcome, I'm Sneaky Bard, giving you a new episode in our Loremaster leveling, where we are in Azshara with our Goblin rogue, Verona. We have recently been sent to the Ogrimmar Rocketway exchange that you see over there, to figure out what the orders that we found on some Night Elf scouts mean, because they're written in some form of arcane runic language that our orc here doesn't understand. And we also need to report to the foreman or labor captain, whatever you want to call it, at said exchange in case they need any help. So let's go there and do their quests. So in the last episode, just before the end, it was also mentioned that we need to hand those orders to a blood elven mage, and that is because blood elves were the part of the highborn caste that after the sundering decided to take some boats and go to a new see if they could find new lands, because they didn't feel very welcome in the druidic and anti-magic society of the night elves. And then they were later renamed blood elves for the sacrifices that they had to endure during the that was the third war? Yeah, the third war. Yes. Third or second war, either or. Yeah, details. And the highborn that didn't go with them, they continued calling themselves the highborn. And what happened there was that they basically lived in seclusion here on Kalimdor, and they were still very night elven, whereas let's get away from him. Whereas their blood elven cousins slowly, through evolution and contact with magic, became more like this, like the lady here next to us. There was also a split with the blood elves in that these people that are now called blood elves, if I zoom in, you should be able to see. She has green eyes, and that's because they were forced, when they were cut off from the source of magic, they turned to demons. Yes, people turn to demons for all sorts of life crisis situations, and they consumed fel, which you remember when the orcs consumed fel, they turned green. The elves didn't turn quite green, but they got green eyes. Those elves that didn't consume the fel are called the high elves, not the blood elves, but the high elves. But technically, from a lore standpoint, those are the people who didn't join their legitimate prince Kelthas in fighting the Scourge. But technically they're still the same people. And with the night elves you have the night elves and the highborn as well, where the highborn are the magic users and the night elves aren't. And you have the opposite going on with the blood elf high elf distinction, where the high elves, having seen what magic addiction does to their cousins, the blood elves have forsworn not to use magic anymore. And actually the addiction is a real addiction for the blood elves, in that if they don't satisfy it, they become wretched, which means they lose their mind completely and just care about satisfying their lust for magic. And it's a story that is, you see it in the Blood Elf starting zone, and it's picked up once again in Legion, in which I was super happy about. It doesn't necessarily deal with all the socio-logical, societal issues that you could with an addiction storyline like that, but it does pick it up a bit and talks a bit more about it in Legion, which is, I'm happy about it because it felt like such a missed opportunity after BC, because after BC nobody talked about the Wretched anymore. So let's turn these orders over. I trust this interruption is in regards to something important. What? Give that here this instant. Actor is correct. These are arcane runes. They're scouting out magical sites, experimenting with the arcane arts. These are marked departure from thousands of years of night elven history. Yes, indeed, so for thousands of years night elves have seen using magics magics. Yeah, no, using magic as a sin, not the usage of it in itself, but as a night elf to use it, because remember the highborn caste of night elven society, so not the modern highborns, but the ones that existed before and during the War of the Ancients, actually brought the first Legion invasion to Azshara because they used magic. The idea that they will achieve any competence in this field, even those who once counted themselves among the highborn, is absurd. Malinea puts aside the scroll dismissively, but her face is furrowed with concern. Right? We don't get any update on that yet, and she needs to think a bit more what she wants to do with the information. Let's report to Horzak. You're here to help. Excellent. Here, sign this indemnity waiver, and here this non-compete clause. Let's get you started. Goblins, always making sure that they have an edge over you. So basilisk bashing. So we moved this whole mountain to strip mine the minerals below. Wow, we've been busy. But what we didn't take into consideration were the subterranean basilisks that are now terranean. You look like you've got some initiative. Go in there and kill some of those nuisances, and I'll dip into a pretty cash fund for you. So kill 10 basilisks. Stone cold. Workers act like it's their job to complain. If it isn't the back-breaking labor, the long hours, or the low pay, it's being turned to stone by basilisks. It's always something. But I'm thinking maybe this whole workers to stone business could be a big money maker for me. What if those guys are now high-quality stone? My whiny employees could be worth more to me as a luxury building materials than a source of labor. Grab a stonified mountainfoot miner and haul him or her back to me. Alright, so let's see this. And let's talk to Foreman Frisk. So, mountainfoot iron is a brittle alloy, but with the right bribes, it meets goblin safety standards. Signibble here is having trouble on the production end of things, but that doesn't change any of my deadlines. I've got a quota to fill. Head down into the mountainfoot strip mine and gather any ingots of mountainfoot iron you find. Should be piles of it smelted and ready for shipment. Alright. So let's go and do their jobs then. Alright, into the mine it is then. Which is over here, where we can see the fires and the general horde structures. So yes, there actually used to be a mountain right here where we have the mine. If any of you have screenshots or watch videos from that timeline in WoW's real life history, you can find a mountain here. Not a very large one. I don't think this entire area was the mountain, but there was a mountain. And here we find our first basilisk. And I do really like that the quest text there actually references that fact. So we got our miner there. Okay, now we got him. And let's pick up the ingot. Because I think when you do change your world drastically like that, as Blizzard has done, the danger there is obviously that your previous clientele that are still playing the game have an experience Z with a zone or X or whatever you want to call it. And what was great about it before the change was that you could always relive those experiences from your own point of view, in a way, not 100% obviously, but in a way. So if a majority of players complained that one quest was really tough, but it was super rewarding when you finished it, you could have that, potentially have that experience. The quest existed, and your power level ratio in turn to the quest, if you did it at the same level as those people did, was the same. So the challenge was roughly similar. But when you do these big changes, that overhaul everything. They're obviously exciting and some good stuff happened out of it, but you completely eliminate this bonding that can go that can grow out of these different experiences that players can relive, even if they start or not relive, but how would you say that? Like copy, or yeah, every player can have a similar sort of experience. Approximate, even if they start playing years and years apart from each other. But then if you actually tie this change into the lore and you kind of reference like, oh, remember this was back here back then and now it's different because of X, Y, and Z, then that transition becomes part of game history much more and is also referenced in the game. It's just not what used to be is not brushed under the rug, so to speak. It's still part of the game's history and acknowledged as such, whereas the old is also given its rightful place and time, and that way you can kind of anchor in the need to make changes, to make things fresh, because Blizzard needed to make things fresh, that was true, into the game's history through these RPG aspects. Yeah, I do like my RPG aspect. It's one of the things that really got me into, wow, this idea that you could actually build a virtual world that felt like a world that followed its own rules, but that was consistent in regards to how these rules were applied. That always got me. I really like that. It's probably also one of the reasons why I enjoy reading fantasy and science fiction literature, because it does that same thing but on a book level. Alright, we've killed all the basilisks, but we need some more ore, so let's kill this one and then we should have enough ore to bring back. There we go. No, we don't have enough, but there's one more ingot. There we go. Who are we in combat with? No idea. But let's go back that way. Oh, now we have stealth back, so we can go back this way because we're going to stealth. We're just going to be careful not to walk straight through the mobs. And then we have the squeaky chair again. So, alright. Yes, we are lugging a goblin on our back. I wonder, how are we not falling over? Because I'd assume that the goblin is denser now that it's made of stone, so heavier. And it's about the same size as us and length, so it should topple us over, or at least be very back-breaking. Okay, there we go. We can already see the question marks in the distance, growing larger. So let's go there and return the quests. Here we go. So yes, we did get your shipment. Well done. When it comes to iron, always pick quantity over quality. Are you sure? Alright, basilisk bashing. Good. One less nuisance to worry about. And here we go. We've made it to level 14. We've gotten sap, which is our CC, so crowd control ability, which we can use in stealth to incapacitate beasts, demons, and dragonkin, and humanoids, obviously, but not elementals or other types of enemies that are not in that list. Okay, well, let's take a look at what we've got. Horzak examines the shattered remains of the poor petrified miner. Oh yeah, you probably did see this. I managed to drop the miner by accident and he completely shattered. Bah, crumbly, useless. Wouldn't even make a good counter job. My miners may be mediocre workers, but they make lousy bricks. Sigh. Well, I suppose we should re-fleshify these guys so I can get some return on my investment. So let's acquire a crystal pendant from a Talrindis saboteur in the Mountain Foot Strip mine. There's got to be a way to reverse the basilisk stonification. Those irritating night elf saboteurs who have been lurking around my mine must know something we don't. They seem to be immune to the gaze of the beast. I want you to find out the secret, Tafrona. Pick off a few of the Talrendis saboteurs skulking about in the rear of the strip mine. Get a sample of whatever charm or ding-dong they're wearing to give them immunity. Radio me from the main forge building once you're successful. Alright. So now let's see if I can remember those instructions, because normally when I do this quest, I'm like, oh, I found the crystal pendant, and then I go back here and I'm like, why are you not like wanting to return that quest? Oh, accepting me to return that quest? And then it's like, oh yeah, I should go to the forge building. Yeah, here you can see we have sap. We also got our shadow strike, so let's put shadow strike here. We got that at level 12. And we have pickpocket. Pickpocket, just let it's gotten actually nicer now when it's not necessary. I mean, obviously from my point of view, when it was sort of semi-necessary as a rogue to use it, it was still good. But back then you got like useful stuff and junk. And now you get money, but the junk you get is always like funny and lore bound. You get like a die that you can use. So I think it's in Northern where you can pick a die that you can actually roll, and it then tells you how much you rolled, and you can use it in RP, like in-game RP, to play with people and things like that. And you also get the lock boxes, which sometimes contain something nice. So I do like the redone pickpocket a lot. One of the good things that Blizzard has done. Not that it's the only good thing, but it's... Whoa! Yep, we just got completely blown away. Not that Blizzard hasn't done good things, but it's one of those nice changes that they've made to an ability, where they, instead of saying, oh, we don't want players to have to use this ability anymore, let's make it useless, they actually made it optional but fun. Sometimes they even just go delete abilities that they instead of changing them in that way, and I'm super happy that the rogues didn't lose their pickpocket ability. But yeah, we were going in the wrong direction. I wasn't going towards camp. I just thought that that building was the forge building, but this one obviously looks much more like a forge. So let's go in there and use the radio. No night elves are around. Strange goblin speakers hiss and crackle. Zignabel's voice squawks over the speakers. So you, Tafrona, still alive? You aren't trashing my explosive stockpiles, are you? You say you found a clear crystal pendant. That makes sense. Perfect prism would refract the gaze of the basilisk. Maybe we can use this to our advantage. Time to drop some science. If that prism of yours is tuned to refract a basilisk's gaze, we can use its crystal properties to reverse the process. All we need is a source of power. In the weapons cabinet to your right, you'll find a prototype laser mining drill. I love that thing, but the near daily dismemberments got to be a real bother. Grab the laser drill and swap out the lens with that crystal of yours. Alright, so you're not worried that I'm going to be dismembered. Oh, there's Marius here, a named night elf. Well, we'll have to kill him. The weapons cabinet is loaded with heinous and broken experimental devices, some of which still have goblin limbs attached. You discovered the laser drill lovingly enclosed in a velvet-lined wooden case. You pop out the lens assembly and slide the crystal into place. The weapon hums ominously. The nearby radio calls out, "Hey Tafrona, you got that gun? Good, don't point it directly at your eye. Aim that baby at my stunified workers, and the refracted light should reverse the petrification process. Or it will melt them, whatever. Return my workers to a state of profitability, and if the refleshification process makes them crazy go nuts, they should be killed for insurance purposes. Hwazak out." He's not a very nice boss. Alright. We need to depetrify or refleshify, as Horzak says, some of his workers. So let's go back into the strip mine and do that, and then call it an episode. So here we have one. Destoned. See, he can't. No, destoned. So basically they were high. And now they've come down again. Let's pick these up so that we can sell them later. We should find a vendor soon. Alright, we've got 4 of these up. We managed to attract the attention of a basilisk, but hopefully it will not follow us here. Oh, it could actually just jump down the mountainside just like us. Then we have to kill it. Okay, there's a worker here. And a basilisk, but we'll just make short work of that one too. Here we go. Yeah, we are a subtlety rogue, but we're not that subtle. Not when we know that we can just almost two-shot the opponents that are thrown in our way. We are, after all, 2 to 3 levels higher, so that does make sense. Alright. So here we are, stealthily in the strip mine, calling it an episode. So once again, I've been Sneaky Bard. Thank you for watching. If you did like the episode, then do like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also do share the video and the channel with anyone you know that might be interested. That is all very much appreciated, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.